Welcome back to the Weight Tutor Podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm here with one of our amazing clients, Lori Dehart. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, Lori. Well, I've been dying to meet with you. You have a pretty incredible story. But
It's a matter of opinion, but okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
But you're doing a great job in the program,
Thank you.
and I think a lot of people can benefit from hearing your story, but also, like we were talking about before the show, your mindset around this journey and the perspective you've taken. It was, as a coach, it's been really refreshing for me. But we'll get to that in a minute. I want to start let's take it back to pre-weight tutor.
Sure.
So tell me about what were some of your habits and routines around your exercise and eating?
So I tried to eat more protein because I knew that was good for me. And I think I probably did reasonably well for someone who was not in tune to it. So I was eating maybe 75 or 80 grams of protein a day. So not bad, but not where I needed to be. Ate mostly fresh game meat, lots of whole vegetables and fruits, but fast foods were part of my diet a lot as well. And lots of refined carbs thrown in there. So kind of everything was not really stable or really balanced well. As far as exercise, I had a lot of physical limitations. So I had 2 knee replacements. One of them about 2 years before I started the program, and the other one about 1.5 years. Up until then, I had a lot of problems with my knees. I had multiple surgeries on them in my much younger years, and then but had lived with it and done reasonably well. In fact, I'd competed in a half marathon 5 years before I came, but the half marathon is what blew out my knees again. So then I wound up having to have the knee surgeries because I just simply could not even go up and down 1 or 2 steps without hefting myself up the steps. So lots of limitations there. Had gained a lot of weight as a result of that. And then I was having balance issues, probably because of the knees, but also because of the weight. And I had fallen in December, bringing in wood to my house, and I tore my rotator cuff, which then further limited what I could do and my mobility. So that was becoming a concern. And I had 2 newer grandchildren that I really wanted to be a part of their lives, and I was feeling like I couldn't do that. So I tried. I've been lifelong struggles with weight, probably not as much as I was at this point, but had done Weight Watchers and been successful at it at times, but then the weight would just come back. Had done Noom, and again, same thing. I would lose some of the weight, not to where I wanted to be, and then it would just kind of gradually come back again. So I think what I was missing was a presence to be there, to be supportive of me directly, rather than online or this cookie cutter program. Well, you track your foods and you come back to the meeting every day, every week, and you see the same thing, and yeah. So it was a very different approaches to this. So that's kind of where I had been with it, was ups and downs, struggling with it and realizing that I needed to do something different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and it sounded like, pre the program, you just had a lot of orthopedic concerns where you couldn't. So it sounded like you tried a few nutritional things, but nothing stuck long term.
No, and the exercise was difficult. I tried going to gyms. I didn't enjoy going to a gym with all these young women, young men in their, cute little outfits that I felt like, oh my God, this is not my league. I can't do this. And I would just get discouraged and just stop going. So I think a comfort level as well as a self-image problem.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. It can be intimidating for a lot of people to walk into a gym. I know even when I travel sometimes and I go to a gym that I'm not familiar with, it's like, like different people, the lighting, the music, the where's everything at,
Yeah.
what's going to be my routine. So
Yeah.
that can definitely be intimidating.
Yeah, yeah.
And remind me, how did you hear about Weight Tutor in the program?
That's kind of funny because I'm a nurse by training. I work as a medical director for a healthcare company. My boss is a physician who is, she's located in Illinois, so I'm a remote worker. But she's a certified obesity physician as well. So she and I had talked over the years about things, and she had said, you really need to try high protein. So I was looking for something that was high protein, and she had suggested Ideal Protein as a way to go. So I was trying to find something with Ideal Protein, and I found a business in Missoula that provided that service. I called and tried to make an appointment and never got a call back. Finally, I called them again. They said, oh, we don't do it anymore. I'm like, well, now what am I going to do? So I just did a Google search for protein diets, and Weight Tutor popped up in the feed. So I thought, well, I'll look at it, see what it is. So I'm kind of looking at it going, this kind of looks interesting, It's tailored toward mature women who have maybe struggled with their weight, who want to make some changes. It's small groups, looked appealing, so I said, I'll see what it's about. So that's how I came to it.
That's awesome. As you know now, protein is definitely one of the pillars
Yeah.
and important parts of the nutrition side of our
Right.
programming. But I don't think I knew
Didn't
that.
do that? Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, that's awesome.
Yeah, just a Google search. So it was meant to be, I guess.
Yeah. And now you've done the orientation, right? And now you're in your first couple of weeks here at the studio, which for a lot of people, that could be a reason why they don't even want to start, is just they're nervous, it's a new place, there's new people. Can you just walk through what were the first few weeks in the program like?
I thought I was going to die. I was so out of shape, and that I don't remember if you remember the first time I tried doing the lunges using the TRX bands, and after about 3 or 4 of them, I was so dizzy I almost fell over, and you came over going, what's wrong? I'm like, yeah, I don't feel good. So so I was like, maybe this isn't what I should be doing. But I thought, no, I'm going to stick with it, because you're like, you're okay to do this, do that, and this is what you can do to kind of back off and make this easier. So it's like, okay, he's listening to me and trying to adapt to what I can do. So I think that was, a struggle for me at the beginning. In fact, I went back to my physical therapist for my shoulder, because I hadn't done surgery on it. I had just rehabbed it with physical therapy. And I went back to my physical therapist and said, all right, this is the program I'm doing. What do you think? And he says, I think it looks good. These are some things that you can change and adapt to be able to make it work. And what was surprising was that they were the things that you were telling me I could do as well. So that was really reassuring. It was really nice to get to meet some of the people. I was pretty shy and didn't really want to interact with very many of them to begin with. I think many of us who are overweight have built up this shell or barrier to not be noticed or not interact, because we just don't have that confidence there. So it was nice to have people who were friendly, but you could tell they were kind of in the same position where, I'm in my own little shell and trying to keep here. But as we kept going, those relationships built, and people became more open and friendly and friends. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it is pretty cool to see just the relationships being built here at the studio, and that's kind of by design. There's one-on-one training, there's large group training. What we've found with the clients that we serve is the small group where you can kind of get to know some of your classmates and realize you're not alone,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
There are other people going through their own journey.
Yep.
Everyone has their own goal, but we're all similar in that we want to be, the healthiest version of ourselves, and everyone has their own definition of that.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was so reassuring to have people that physically looked like me, that and seeing some of them that I knew found out had been here for a while, and going and seeing some of their pictures up on the board, like, wow, this does work, kind of thing. So it was nice to kind of realize that I was in a group that connected with with me, and that I could connect with. Mm-hmm. So, but small groups, not big groups, and definitely not wearing their little shorts and skin tight everything. So
yeah, we just want comfy workout clothes.
Exactly.
And we don't need to be showing skin here. But I think one thing you talked about earlier, Lori, that a lot of people are concerned about is just being thrown into the fire. And we as coaches and as a program, we're always learning, and how can we like set a good expectation of, hey, here's what you can expect in your first couple of weeks, in your first couple of months, and then beyond there. And just everyone's going to be a little bit different. But because we know it's going to be hard, right? We know it's going to be a new habit, and we don't want our muscle soreness is common and fatigue during the workout's common, but we don't want that to be a reason why people don't come back.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you made it through, and we've made a few tweaks to the program to make sure, new clients are really eased into it.
Yeah. I think I was probably on the cusp of that easing into things, because I don't know of anybody in the group who hasn't, or in the groups I've been in, who has had problems that the coach who's there hasn't paid attention to them, gone up to them and said, what's going on? Checking in with them, making sure, are you having pain here? Making fine adjustments in the form. So you can go to a gym and they'll say, oh yeah, you should be doing squats. But nobody comes up and tells you, all right, when you do your squats, your feet should be parallel and your knees should be over, going out, not in. And you should be doing, head up this direction. All those things, those fine tuning, what you do is not there unless you're paying a lot of bucks for a personal trainer who is hard to come by, honestly, and trying to fit into their schedule as well. So I think it's nice to have the small groups where you have a personal touch. The coaches all know each of us, and they know us by names, encourage us, and encourage the rest of the people in the group to encourage us as well. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's interesting, because we get a lot of folks who are coming, they're either in physical therapy or they're coming from physical therapy, and our studio is kind of a next step. And I think a misnomer is they're not two separate things. There's a lot of overlap. Physical therapy has a certain scope of practice. They're mainly looking to solve a specific problem to get someone back on their feet, out of pain, rehabbing from an injury. Whereas training, what we do here is to make progress toward the ideal version of yourself.
Right.
But there's a lot of overlap because the body, there are certain planes that the body moves on, and a thing like a step up is very practical and functional, as an example. Probably going to do some of that in physical therapy depending upon why you're there. And then of course we do step ups as one of the exercises here at the program. So the overlap is just the practicality and the functional aspects. Physical therapists want to get their clients or patients back, functioning and moving, and we want to take that person and, put fuel on the fire, so to speak, and help them move even better.
Yeah. I look at physical therapy as like reactionary and episodic. So it's there for a purpose, and as soon as you get to that point, they give you exercises that you're supposed to continue to do, but how many people actually really continue to do them once they're done? Probably not many. So I think then this is that, like you say, that next step. It's the continuum of the physical therapy for those people that are going that direction. So it's learning then, I've got these motions, I know I should be doing these things, putting them into practice, making it a part of your routine, and building the strength so that you can increase your ability to do those things that you were just able to get through to be able to pass the insurance criteria to be successful in physical therapy. So just a different level, but definitely interconnected.
Yeah. I like the word you use, continuum.
Yeah.
You know, that is truly, you know, there may be an injury or some sort of orthopedic concern. You see your physical therapist. And then, like you said, most people, if they don't have that support and accountability, it's really hard to do those exercises consistently on your own. And then at some point, even if you did them, body weight isn't going to be enough like once you progress. So then going to the next level and increasing resistance so you can continue to make progress is important. But it doesn't work without the support and accountability unless...
Yeah, and I think somebody there to guide you and tell you, not necessarily push you even, but just to tell you, okay, you're ready to keep going. Try this next. Try this next. Let's try this. So, because we're not people aren't the experts on what their bodies can do. You tend to say, okay, I think I'm where I need to be, but you can go to another level. But unless you have that reassurance and encouragement to do it, you may not be confident in doing it or not motivated to do it.
Absolutely. So you said it took a couple of weeks for you to like kind of break out of your shell on the program. And then when did things really start to click for you?
Probably about a month into it, I was feeling much better. I think when I'll bring out my ball at this point, right? So, put it out from the table here. All right, can't get it up. All right, so when I started and I was doing medicine ball slams, I could not lift the 10-pound medicine ball. So I brought this little ball, that's my dog's ball to play with in the yard, from home and said, can I use this, Mike? And he says, well, sure, go ahead. Like, I'm not too sure, but okay, yeah. So I think when I realized that I could lift more than a little dog ball, I think that's when it finally started clicking. I could lift a 10-pound medicine ball. Not very many times, but I could do it. And so I think then that confidence came that I was able to be successful at this. So
yeah, it's been incredible to watch you progress from the dog ball and from some of the lighter dumbbells and kettlebells we have just to make steady progress during
well, some of the exercises I couldn't even do any weights at all when I started. Or I brought my little 3-pound pink hand weights from home because I couldn't lift a 5-pound weight with my arms. So, and now I'm up to 15 pounds in most of the weights. So
it's pretty incredible. Like a 3, probably like more for you, it's like infinite because you're doing mainly body weight or not able to, but let's call it somewhere between a lot of these exercises, a 3 to 5 times strength increase.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is incredible. It's the difference of being able to carry your groceries in one trip or multiple trips and doing things around the yard a lot easier. And then the other thing I have to highlight, you're able to do lunges without the TRX bands.
Yeah, Charity encouraged me to do that a couple weeks ago. So that's that security thing. I probably had the strength to do it before then, but just not the confidence to do it. So that was really, I was like, are you kidding me? I can't do that. She's going, and she took them away and said, nope, I got them. So I'm like, okay. So I was able to do it. Was I graceful at it? Absolutely not. Am I still graceful at it? No, but can I do it? Yes, I can do it. So that's kind of a encouraging thing.
Absolutely.
I keep continuing to see progress. And what I've been in this like 6 months now?
6
About
months.
6 months, yeah. So,
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah.
Well, what, if you were to distill it down, what have been some of the key things you've learned in the program?
I think that key thing is confidence. I think knowing, not just thinking, but knowing that I can do it. And I think that understanding that it's more than just showing up and doing this. It's actually living the ideas and the thoughts and putting them into practice in everything I do. So I think that's been a big part of it, is that truly adopting the mindset change of being healthy rather than exercising or eating what I'm supposed to. But it's different because you've actually adopted this as a way of life and a way you want to, that you like feeling this way. So, yeah.
I know we were talking a little bit before the filming started, but I think that's a challenge or it can be a challenge for many people, is making the leap from, I've got this problem, I don't feel the best about myself, I've, gotten out of shape, I'm not exercising, I'm not eating healthy, to usually there just hasn't been a good solution. Truly, it's been like, well, my solution, I need to join the gym, or I need to follow this diet. So what we're trying to do is build more of a lifestyle change, but it requires, the person, in this case you, to make that shift. So for someone who might be stuck, thinking about, I just have to work out and I just have to diet, how did you make it more of a lifestyle shift?
I think by, I don't know how to say it, intellectualizing what's going on. So understanding, I have a nursing background. I know all about nutrition. I know about exercise. I know about body mechanics. I know about muscles. But making them mine is different than, so having it out here versus having it going from here in my brain to here in my heart, and moving it from a thought process to a lifestyle change was a big jump to do. So I talk about it moving from here to here.
Yeah, and I think that's at the end of the day, for people who are able to not only reach their goal but keep their goal, they have a clear why, and it's not a number on the scale, and it's not following a diet, but it's, everyone has a different reason, but it's a deep, meaningful reason to the individual, that it's easy to do this when it's easy, but when life happens, as it does, like a work thing happens or a family thing happens, if we don't have that strong intrinsic heart why, like you're talking about, it's really hard to be able to persevere through that.
It is, and I think we can all come up with whys. Oh, I want to wear a size 5 pants, or I want to be able to go dancing again, or I want to be able to do these. These are actions, but they're not beings. So how do you want to be? And I think that's a leap for many people, to go from these external reasons to internal reasons. Because you can write down, and I've done this before in a couple of the programs, right? Okay, what's your why? Okay, now go to the next step. What's your what? But why is that? And then why is that? And why is that? Until you get really down to the bottom of your basic why. And my basic, most people say, oh, I want to be healthy. My why is to be healthy, but it's not just be healthy. It is to be healthy. So it's a different frame of things. So.
What's your why?
Oh my gosh. I think my why is I want to be somebody that I can be proud of, and that I can inspire other people to be the best that they can be. So.
I love that. You're certainly doing that in the program.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, tell me a little bit. So you do, and you walk the walk, right?
10,000 steps a day I walk.
Yeah, or more.
Or more, yeah. A couple weeks ago, couple days ago, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
How did you, with this, did you know that coming into the program, or did you have to really sit down and think about your why? How did you come to that?
I think I had gone to the, be healthy point before I came. And I have the 2 grandkids. I wanted to be there for them. My daughter's wedding is coming up in November. I wanted to be able to wear a dress that didn't look like a gunny sack when I went to the wedding. So those kinds of things were there. But I think that this program actually challenged me to really think deeper than that. And so, yeah, it's come about over time in the past 6 months, where I've actually used what I've learned before in trying to figure out why and realizing I needed to do that again.
Yeah. I want to talk about some of the things like the actions you've taken, because I know that everyone who takes the leap to starting a program has the best intention. They believe they have some sort of a reason why, but then the reality hits of like, okay, this is going to take a little, even though I knew this or I was told this, it's going to take longer than I thought, and it's going to be harder than I thought. And I think that taking the leap is probably the hardest part, but then sticking with it is probably, that actually might even be harder. So like, how have you set up your life so you're able to stick with it?
Well, I do things, like I talked about, throughout my day, throughout my life, that are moving that attitude into other things. So I mentioned earlier when we were talking, I make my bed every morning, which sounds really kind of silly, but really when you make your bed in the morning, successful people make their bed, you know? So why can't I? If I just leave my bed a mess, my life's a mess. So for me, my bed is a symbol of me being successful. So looking to do things like that, making sure that I have the groceries that I need, instead of just like, okay, well, I don't have anything to eat. Gosh, chocolate bars, that looks good. Cookies, that looks good. So I think that's been some of the steps I've taken to move, to try and make it that whole lifestyle change, not just little actions that are kind of pieced together, to try and knit it all together into one attitude, to one way of living.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
And I think we've got to talk about a few other habits.
Oh, no.
Good habits.
Okay.
So tell us about your step challenge that you're doing.
Oh, yeah. So the step challenge was in July, was 10,000 steps a day. And so I track that religiously with my Fitbit that I wear all the time. I count all my steps. I don't count just the ones that are out when I'm walking, although right now most of my steps are when I'm out walking because I'm so tied to my desk at work. But so that kind of got me started on it. And then I found an app or a program through Facebook that was called Conqueror Challenges, and it's step challenges where you actually earn medals to do these steps. So I thought, well, that's something tangible that can maybe motivate me, and I can see a thing. And there's people in these groups, and they're kind of silly, some of them are, but they're different step lengths, and then you have different time periods to do them. So it's that accountability, something that keeps me accountable to keep doing what I started out doing. So I had done the 10,000 steps a day, and then it's the end of July, and I thought, oh, that's done. No, it's not. What am I going to do to keep myself going? So in here, my motivation was I'd made this commitment to the program that I was going to do it. Now I had to find another way to keep that going. So I started doing these challenges, and I did a, what was it? Yosemite challenge that was 46 miles of walking. I've done a Yellowstone challenge that was 75 miles, and now I'm doing one that's Rocky Mountain Park that's 130 miles, and I'm about 45 miles into it right now. So yeah, that's kind of what I keep doing. But I also, to be able to meet those steps, I add steps wherever I can. So when I come to class, people go and they, so far to park. I had to drive around the block 3 times to park. No, you parked where you could find your parking place, then you walked around the block 3 times to get here. So adding those steps wherever you can. And we all know about, parking the parking spot farthest from the door at the grocery store. But when you're in a hurry, that's not where you want to park. So, but you make yourself do it. Maybe not the farthest, but maybe now halfway to it. I got smaller garbage can, so I have to take my garbage out more frequently. If I have to use the bathroom during the day, instead of going to the one closest, I go to the next bathroom that's a little farther away. So it's not a lot of steps, but every single step counts. So what you were talking about my extra steps the other day, I decided, well, I'm going to park at the mall and walk to class. So I walked 2.5 miles before I got to class, went through class, and then I'm going, oh my gosh, I have to walk back. So I had to then walk 2.5 miles back. So that day I got about 16,000 steps in for my day.
Wow.
Unintentionally, because I didn't really realize how far the mall was from here when I was thinking, oh, that's just a couple miles. I can do that. Yeah, it's a couple miles. So anyway.
So I'm hearing you say is you've been very intentional.
Yes.
And you've been very consistent.
Yes.
With your efforts. Has there been a period of time where you've fallen off and had to get back on track?
Yeah. The first 2 weeks of August, I went to Minnesota to help my daughter pack and then moved to South Carolina. So I had no control over the food that I was going to eat. The first week I was there, when we were in Minnesota, I did pretty well, and she was on board with it, trying to help me find things. We went to the grocery, and I got cottage cheese, and I got yogurt, and I got chicken and all these things. Well, then we packed the refrigerator. So what do? I ate what I ate. I ate what I could eat. I tried to be mindful about the protein and not go and eat all the ice cream or get the Frosty at Wendy's, but get the chicken salad instead. So trying to do that, but I was way over on calories, way under on protein, and at one point, at the second week when we were driving, it was even worse because you're stopping at a gas station. Well, what do you find at a gas station to eat? Oh my gosh, I don't know. So, but I was starving, so I did eat. I wasn't going to just not eat. But I ate what I could find, and I ate that. I realized in that second week that putting that on paper was just making me feel bad. So I thought, okay, I am intentionally going to not track for this week because I know when I'm upset or feeling badly, I will binge eat. And that wasn't what I wanted to do. So I just said, okay, close that door. When I come back home, I'll start back on it. And it took me about a week of getting back into it and refocusing and restocking my refrigerator that was now empty here as well. So yeah, it hasn't been an easy ride all the way. Mm-hmm. But getting back to it is the key, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's important to normalize and just be vulnerable of no matter who you are, it's not going to be like a perfect, straight, easy path. No. You're gonna have times where you need to travel and you get out of your routine mm-hmm. and you're gone for 2 weeks, or you might get sick, or you might, whatever the case may be, and in that period of time, it's like we're doing the best we can, but we also have to be realistic where it's probably not gonna move the needle. Nope. We shouldn't throw caution to the wind and just say, well, whatever, I'm gonna, hurt myself and backslide a bunch. But I think we just sometimes need to be comfortable with treading water if it's like a shorter term thing. And then I think what you've done a really good job with is being intentional when you do get back and you are in your normal routine, your default setting you've set up in such a way where you're consistently walking, yeah. You consistently show up to class, you meal plan, you prepare, how's tracking been for you?
Tracking has actually not been difficult because it's been a principle of the programs I've done before with Noom and with Weight Watchers. That's a key to their whole thing is tracking, and they use apps that are very similar to the Weight Tutor. They don't have quite as much. I think they're getting more, adding more functionality to them, but they don't track the macros the way that this does, which is I feel really important, is understanding that nutrition. Not just looking at, okay, well, you know what, eggs don't have any points in them. I can eat 5 dozen eggs today and not have any points for my day. I've got 23 to eat on cookies now. So I think it has not been difficult, but I don't eat the same thing every day or for every meal. So I use my tracker as a meal planner more than anything. But then I also hold myself accountable to it. If I change, I go in and change it. And if I drop proteins, I'm going to say, okay, I'm 10 grams of protein short. What can I eat today? And so when I started out, I actually made lists of some of the foods that I knew protein values. Like, okay, these foods have, 10 grams of protein. I can eat this and have 10 grams. I can eat this and have 20 grams. And I can eat this and have 30 grams. So I knew kind of what foods fell in these categories, and I could add to them. But if I was a gram or two short, I'd say, okay, I can add feta cheese to my salad. I can add, I can eat a whole grain bread that has 5 grams of protein versus white bread that has 2 grams of protein. So trying to bump that protein up in little ways. I mean, everybody feels like, just gobble all this protein down. You don't have to. You just find other ways. And if you're tracking, you know where those other sources are. So you're not feeling overwhelmed by you can't get enough protein, because you can. And for me, it's not that difficult. I'm consistently 150 to 155 grams of protein a day without struggling to do it. I do have to supplement. I do use protein powders, occasionally a protein bar if I'm in a hurry going someplace. So. But yeah.
What were some steps that you took because when you started, you said you were at 70 to 80 grams of protein, and now you've essentially doubled that. Walk us through, like, how did you double that? How long did it take? And what were the steps you took?
Believe it or not, it took me about a week.
Okay.
It didn't take me long. But how I did it was I changed. Instead of eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch, I would make chicken salad. And for chicken salad, I would put, instead of mayonnaise, I would use Greek yogurt and low fat or light mayonnaise or something like that. So it still has a little bit of tangy flavor to it. I don't really care for the flavor of yogurt necessarily, so it kind of blended that out a little bit. So just trying to find some dishes and ways to do that, instead of eating one scrambled egg in the morning or a hard-boiled egg, I would eat 2. Or I would add egg beaters to it to get more protein into it. So taking what I had and adding more protein into it, as well as really incorporating chicken into what I eat, which is difficult because my husband hates chicken. So I have to find innovative ways to disguise it. But so just trying to find different recipes, things that were flavorful and enjoyable. So I wasn't eating. I made a transition from thinking of fun foods and fuel foods, and that's kind of a common theme that you hear in a lot of different programs. So fun foods are the things that you really want to eat, and they're the treats and all this stuff. The fuel foods are the things you have to eat. So when you make a transition that fuel foods can be fun, then the food loses the stigma, and you're not driven by feeling deprived, because now you've got foods that are tasty and they are good to eat and they are satisfying, which is why I don't eat the same thing all the time. I like to try different flavors and different tastes, and I can't even think. I don't food prep for the whole week, because I never know quite what it is I'm going to eat. I know what, but I can't prep a whole week of the same meal, because I'm not going to eat the same meal. So different people, what works for me may not work for somebody else. Somebody else may feel more in control of what they're eating if they can prep it all out. That's not my way of doing things. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think the overarching theme that I'm hearing is you're taking ownership of your health.
Yes.
In all aspects, and you've recognized the setback you talked about earlier, and you were able to get back on track, but you're very intentional with your steps, with your nutrition, with your strength training in here. And I think that's a hard leap for some people.
Yes.
To take that ownership and to realize the only person that's able to do this is the person that you're looking at in the mirror.
Well, it took me 65 years to make the leap, so yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, but when we realize, like, okay, I'm the only one that can do something about this,
Yeah.
like, of course, our coaches are here to help and answer questions and make sure you're set up with, like, the right calories and macronutrients and are doing the right exercises, but, you know, we can't do the lunges for you. We can't, you know, prepare your food for you. So it's really, and one of our goals of the program is to teach people how to fish. And you've done an amazing job with that. And I hope people listening to this podcast, you know, a light bulb goes off and they're like, okay, you know, I need to track my food. I need to do my steps and move every day. You know, it's okay if I fall off.
Yep.
I need to plan out what I'm eating. Winging it's just not gonna work.
Yep.
So I think when we come to terms with those things, like, we fight it. And I, as a coach, like, I started off as like a client 10, 12
Yeah.
years ago and had to learn all this myself. But it's when I realized, okay, here are some fundamental truths that I see that people who are at their health goal, they're at their why, they are consistent, they work out every week consistently, they're active, they plan out what they eat and they know what they're going to eat. And another thing I've seen is they know what they're going to say yes and no to before they're in that moment.
Yep.
And I think that can be a hard thing for people.
It can be, yeah. If you go like that joy eating kind of thing again. If you go to a birthday party and you're going to say, okay, they've got nachos on the, and you know, and they've got birthday cake and they've got cupcakes and somebody else brought a pie or whatever it is, you know, or family reunion, be a better example. And they've got all these wonderful things that you know are going to taste good. You have to make that intentional choice. What is it worth it? You know, so maybe one bite of the birthday cake is worth it, but a wedge that big is not worth it. So don't deprive yourself, but be, like you say, deliberate about what you're doing. And find that reason that you want to do it. So, and different people have different motivators. For me, numbers motivate. So, the tracking was right where I want. The walking, numbers are a motivator to me. And I think I told you how many inches I'd lost. So, I lost. What did I say?
38 inches.
38 inches over 15 different measurements. So from neck down to ankles. Different measurements at different points. They're not relevant. This here, fingers, everything. So I'd lost 38 inches in 6 months. I've lost, you'll have to tell me. I can't remember. I wrote it down there.
Yeah, I've got the stats here.
Yeah, there?
So it looks like, so since March 19th, 38 total inches.
Yeah.
8 1/4 off of your waist,
Yep.
7 1/4 off of your bust,
Yeah.
7 3/4 off of your hips.
Yeah.
And I think for those listening, this is a great thing to try. And because there are going to be some months or periods of time, if you just look at the scale, which is not a great metric to look at, you may be discouraged, but your body, especially with our program and how we structure it with eating adequate levels of calories and protein and strength training, your body's going to change in inches in composition more than it's going to change in weight initially, and then the weight will catch up.
Yeah.
But I think if I would at least encourage people to do some basic measurements.
Yeah.
But another amazing thing you told me, Lori, was you went from a size 20 to a size 14.
Yeah, size 20 pants to size 14 pants. And the 14s are comfortable. I'm not squished into them. So, yeah, four pant sizes in 6 months' time. And that's, what, 25 pounds? Something like that? So it's not, comparatively, when you think 25 pounds, it sounds like a lot, but it's only 5 pounds a month. 4 pounds a month? 4 pounds a month. Yeah, about 4 pounds a month. So when you're going that way, it doesn't seem like, well, you shouldn't lose, 4 pant sizes and, 38 inches off of your body. it just is a different perspective and a different motivator. So yeah, the why things that we do our wins that we do at the beginning of each meeting are, for me, I try to think of something every time that's not just I showed up. Although there are days that I want to say I showed up, but I try to really think of something that is what, as a result of this, I did differently. What was my win? What did I change? What did I do differently? What did I see that is a reflection of success? Because if I can keep that idea, I am successful in here, then I'm successful here.
Yeah, but you have to, I think the thing that I want to highlight here is, again, it comes back to you taking ownership and being intentional. You know, you were the one that measured yourself. You were the one that tracked all of this. So you took ownership and you set yourself up for success and tracking other things other than the scale. That's one thing that I hope that we can shift, is just putting, sure, you know, there's a weight loss goal portion of it, but there are far more important metrics other than weight.
The in-body thing, I was so glad when you got that, because that's like, oh, I have more than just pounds lost. I've got body fat lost. What have I lost? How many percent point? I forget.
So 6%, but this is a month old because next week we'll be doing our scans. So far you've lost 24 pounds and 6% body fat in less than 6 months. So that was in 5 months when we took the last measurement, which is right on, you know, we say roughly a pound a week and roughly 1% per month is what we've seen like clockwork. It's what studies show when you look at what is not just a weight loss, but a sustainable body composition change. Studies will show time and time again about a pound a week and about 1% per month. Another side benefit of that, especially with strength training, especially for those who need to lose or want to lose a little bit more weight, it helps your skin become more elastic and recover faster than extreme weight loss.
Yeah, and you know, I'm noticing that I still have too much skin someplace, so I'm hoping that kicks in here pretty quick. That's it is difficult, but it is working because I haven't lost inches off my upper arm. My upper arm is actually the same size it was when I started, and this isn't a good shirt to show it, but I don't have the chicken wings anymore. So it does, when I've lost weight before, it's lots of extra sag. So it's kind of like, I can see that just kind of tones everything up and pulls it all together.
The key in this, and I was happy to hear you went from 2 times per week doing the program, and you've recently just bumped it up for 3. And that's, if we think about it, it's like, okay, what, you know, 1 more a week, but when we zoom out, that's 50 more strength training workouts in a year.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and I was doing them at home, what I could do, but it isn't the same as what I can do here. And I still am not comfortable going to the gym, so I wasn't going to go to a gym, and I don't like to use the machines. And so that's kind of, and when you go to the gym, that's like, oh, all these bright, shiny, you know, machines to make noise and move around, and not me. So I think coming here, deciding that to do that 3rd class a week, I think is going to be a real game changer for me as well. Maybe I'll actually get into the right size dress for my daughter's wedding.
Yeah, you're definitely on the right track. You've done a wonderful job with that. One thing I wanted to come back to just really quick was we talked about food. And we talked about like the demonization, or like the good, this is good food, or bad food, this is healthy food or unhealthy food, this is my like cheat meal, where I think that we don't consider a third option. And what I've seen with people who have made the transition like yourself to enjoying what they eat, they don't look at it what black and white, this or that. It's, how can I find a food that fills me up, that hits all my calories and protein goals, but also I really look forward to eating and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, that is a challenge. And it's just trying to, so I like pizza once in a while. So how do I do pizza? Well, I take away the guilt for it. Pizza isn't a bad food. So when somebody says, oh, I had pizza last night, and I'm going, oh, I had pizza last night, and I had Costco pizza for dinner last night. I like Costco pizza, but I take it into account. I plan it out. I know that's what I'm going to eat. If I'm not Costco pizza, I'm going to eat something that is healthier, so more vegetables to it. Thin crust pizza versus thick crust pizza. Crustless pizza. Things like that, where I'm not getting all those extra refined carbs that I probably don't need, and I can control some of the fat in it by not as much cheese on it or something like that. So, I think it was a big leap to not having good foods and bad foods, because no foods are bad foods. Some foods are a little less healthy for you than others, but doesn't mean you shouldn't ever eat them. It just means you need to eat them, say, intentionally.
Yeah.
With knowledge behind this is what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, because it's probably not realistic to never have like pizza, ice cream, whatever your favorite treat is, but you do so in a way, and that's our hope for everyone, is to be able to do so from an empowered position of like, I'm going to eat my favorite treat. I've already done the pre-work of putting into my FitnessPal to see how that impacts that day or like later in the week, but you make that empowered decision and then you get to enjoy every single bite and savor it.
I'm not feeling guilty because I'm sitting in Costco eating a piece of pizza before I go grocery shopping. I also know that if I do that, I'm not going to buy a bunch of stuff that I really don't want or need. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Now I want to go through a couple of the goals. So I have your sheet when you first signed up. We kind of talked about some of your goals, and I want to just go through them and check in to see like the progress on them.
Sure.
So one of the first things you told me was that you wanted to increase your stamina.
Oh, definitely. I think, like I said, the first time that I did the lunges and I could only do 3 or 4 and was ready to pass out, and now I can do 15 without any problem. I went from this to 30 pounds. I did 30 pounds on the medicine ball this week. So, and I can do it without having to stop and catch my breath. I can walk. I walked the 2.5 miles in 44 minutes. So 40 minutes, I guess it was. So, and when I started out, I was out of breath walking from down below up here to get to class. So I think that that's just been gradual. Probably the past month or so, I've noticed that, I'm not short of breath when I try to do these things. So, yeah.
That's amazing. And you said you also wanted to improve your balance.
Yeah, balance is still an issue. So that probably comes from the obesity for so long, as well as the knee replacements, and having such long-term problems with my knees that caused muscles to compensate or me to develop ways of doing things that were probably not ideal. So like walking up steps sideways or down steps sideways rather than straight forward. So balance is still a problem, but it's not as bad. But I'm trying other things. So I told Charity yesterday that I had been trying to walk some on a treadmill. Well, when I walk on a treadmill, I have to hang on to both hands because I'm going to fall on my face and go sliding off the other end of it if I don't. So I gradually started just walking with one hand, and this week I've done it twice now, where I've done a half mile without holding on to the handles at all. So if I'm staggering down the street, I can recover, but if I'm staggering on a treadmill, there's no hope. I'm going to bite it, and that's not good. So just gradually and at a slow pace. So rather than doing a 3 or 3.5 mile pace walk on the treadmill, I'm at a 2 mile pace on the treadmill. So slowing it down where I can keep my balance and then just gradually increasing it. So yeah, I've been seeing some improvement in that. I've got a long ways to go yet. I'm not real confident in being able to walk on uneven surfaces. And I have my little walking stick when we go hiking. But
Yeah, I think you've done a wonderful job, for being coming up on 6 months in the program. The other thing just to highlight is the the ability to do one of the more challenging exercises, the lunge without the TRX band. I think that shows the improvement in balance as well.
Yeah. Like I say, I'm still not graceful at it, and I'm still like flailing my arms around every now and then, hoping I'm not going to tip over, but I can do it, and it's getting easier. So practice makes perfect.
That's right. And then mobility. So this one, probably total body mobility, but I know with the knees and the shoulder. Tell me about how that's changed over time.
I still have some mobility issues. I can't get up easily up and down off of the floor, but I can do it without having to grab onto the wall to pull myself up. I can bend down and pick up something off of the floor in a squat, rather than like holding onto the edge of the counter and leaning over and praying I don't just topple. So I think that kind of mobility, it's improving. I still have a ways to go on that. I think that as I develop more muscle that supports my skeleton and I get confidence in my body being able to do things, that will improve. But when I started in doing they're called the triceps. So I could go down like to my hands to my head, and now I can go down with my hands behind my head. So it's never going to get full mobility to the shoulders. I've had this shoulder broken a number of years ago, so I have some restrictions in that shoulder just because it broke. And this one with the rotator cuff, I still struggle with that. It's still painful, but it's not like sharp pains. It's like an achy pain in there, so it's just not strong yet. But yeah, so I think mobility is improving. I hope you guys are seeing that I'm not, that I'm actually getting better at being able to do things. And
I think just we sometimes think about mobility as like, or even balance as like this, I either have it or I don't, or maybe that's not the right way to put it. More so like I'm not where I want to be, but I've noticed a huge improvement with both your balance and mobility when I've seen you working out here. And just to be able to, because we do that movement assessment, so like the shoulder movement assessment, like just getting your hands over your head like that was challenging. And the movement you just did with the tricep extension, and then just the ability to do 30 pounds over your head, that's a ton of great progress. So
bird dogs are still going to kill me. But I've been practicing bird dogs, but I've been doing them without the pad at home, without a pad under me, because the pad is too much give, and then it throws my balance off again. So I've been trying doing some things on a very thin pad or just onto a carpet to try and see if I can do them. And I can do them at home. I still can't do them on the double pads here. I tip over, but I'll get there.
Yeah, you're making progress, Lori. And I want to close us out with just some words of wisdom. I think you've made a ton of wonderful progress in the program. You're only 6 months in, and you've just been steady and consistent with not just the results. What I'm most proud about of you is the consistent action that you've taken, day over day, week over week, month over month. So for someone that's been in the program or someone just starting out, what are some words of wisdom you would offer?
I think you be you. So I'm able to do this, and I've got this motivation and this way that I'm doing it, but that may not be you. And that's okay. You don't have to be Lori. You can be you, and you can take it at your own pace. The thing is to just keep moving forward. Even if it's, another step, instead of 10,000 steps, you're starting out at 1,000 steps. And tomorrow you're doing 1,005 steps. It's just keep moving forward and keep pushing yourself. Not pushing, but congratulating yourself for doing what you're doing and for making progress. So.
I love that. Keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Well, you've been an inspiration for me as a coach, and I know you've inspired a lot of the classmates who you share sessions with. So I just want to encourage you to keep up the wonderful work, and I appreciate you coming on the podcast today.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Woo!